Welcome back to podcast 15. And today we're going to talk about what to do after you fall into sin. Right. Now, there are many ways people try to do this, right? But there's only one way that actually works, right? So, basically, when you fall into sin, right, and you realize you have, the first thing you should do is to go to God in prayer, right? Just be like, yo, God, I sinned against you. I'm sorry. And this is like that part is you know what I'm saying, like admitting your sin, that's like the first step, right? And there are many ways, like I'll admit I've tried to like beat myself up over falling short, and you might think like, well, I mean, self-pity, right? Being like, yo, God, I'm a sinner, bro. I can't do this anymore. I don't know, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just like beating yourself up over your sin, right? And trying to make it up to God. That doesn't work at all. That makes it 10 times worse, and it cripples you, right? It literally does. And I used to do this a lot until I realized that, God paid that on the cross. So that means I'm not a slave to my sin anymore. And it's it's very easy to fall in that trap of being like trying to make it up to God. And I tell you, you cannot make it up to God. Like you have to accept that. And as soon as you accept that and be like, you know what? God, your grace is a gift. I can't earn it. I don't deserve it, but you gave it anyway because you loved me, right? And because of that, and I accept that, therefore I'm a child of God, and my sin doesn't define me. If you like change your mindset and be like, you know what? Instead of thinking about like, God, I'm not gonna fail you. God, I'm just try harder. Instead of thinking it like that, you should think it of, Lord, even if I fall short, I'm still a child of God because of what you did on the cross. And once you change your mindset about how like you fall short of God, then you'll be able to like not beat yourself up and like actually continue forward. Because when you just sit there in your sin after falling short and be like, God, I failed you. You have to. It's too late for me. If you just like sit there and do nothing, that's exactly where like Satan wants you to be. You gotta remember that he already lost the game, bro. Like, God already defeated him 2,000 years ago. And I'll admit, he's pretty smart, and he knows that he can't beat you himself, but he knows that you can beat yourself up. And that's how he takes advantage of our human nature, right? He doesn't need, he can't, he already lost the game, right? But he knows that he can do a lot of collateral damage, right? As much as he can, right? And obviously, we're going to first state that he's not going to attack his own children. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look around and, all right, and that doesn't mean excuse your own sin. All right, yeah, don't get prideful right there. But, like, you know what I'm saying? He's not going to attack his own children, right? And when you see other people around you that are, like, doing their own thing and, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, God's not real. I'm going to do whatever I want. Blah, blah, blah. Proceeds to, like, you know what I'm saying? Blank, blank, blank. You know what I'm saying? Right. Satan is not going to, he's going to, now sometimes God's going to cause, sometimes God is going to make some people reconsider that, right? But for the most part, Satan is going to do the best he can to make his children have as, like, good of lives as possible. Not in the sense of, godly, but, like, in the sense of he's going to let them enjoy themselves. He's going to let them do whatever they want. And, a child of Satan, right? You might be like, well, I'm not following Satan. I'm just doing what I would want to do. I'm just doing what I want to do. If you think through that, I'm going to do what I want. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty prideful. You know what I'm saying? And over the years, I've learned that when I do what I want, I end up doing what Satan wants. Because Satan, you know what I'm saying? He thought he wanted to be like God. He wanted to be like God. He wanted to do what he wanted, right? You know what I'm saying? And, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you think of it like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, your desires, right? The things you want, you know what I'm saying? And I know that everyone, we want different things, right? Our desires will drag us away. Even if we don't realize it, or if we try, it doesn't matter. They're going to drag us away. And if you don't give them to God, like, honestly, imagine like you're a puppet and your desires are strings, and all Satan has to he can't really do anything to you, right? As a child of God, right? But he can really mess with those strings, right? And if you don't give those strings to God, if you don't cut those strings, he's going to be able to manipulate you even just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't believe in God and you don't have the Holy Spirit at all, bro, like he has complete control over that person, bro. Like that person's cooked, bro. And I'll admit that like the closer you get to God, like the more the more you're able to see how Satan does things, right? Like the closer you get to God, like the closer you see your eyes start to open, and you just see how everyone else is just like doing their own thing, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, honestly, it's crazy, right? And I'll admit that if you don't want hardship, if you don't want to have a difficult life, if you don't want freedom, if you want to just enjoy the moment, then I would stop following God right now, bro. Like, if you think following God's gonna be easy, bro, I would leave right now, bro. Like, and I'm not saying you should. I'm just like, you just like got to reconsider. Like, if following God is easy for you right now, you're doing something wrong, bro. Like, you really are. Like, yes, there's gonna be times where there's good times. Like, you're gonna be following God. You're like praying. You're doing all that, and there's gonna be times where following God is easy, right? But you know what I'm saying? What separates the weeds from the wheat is the hardship, right? You know what I'm saying? Is the hardship, right? If you go through like hard times, like for example, like someone dies, or you get something like a disease, or if you're depressed, or if you're lonely, or if you feel like giving up, or you feel like you're overlooked, or if you feel like no one cares about me. I mean, yes, I'm doing yeah, on the outside my life is pretty chill, right? But on the inside I'm just empty, right? And yeah, that's what really separates like Christian real believers from non-believers, right? Like, if your relationship with God is defined by your circumstances, then that's not chill at all, bro. Gotta like lock in. And I'll admit, I'm guilty of this like 100%. You know what I'm saying? And God's still working through that with me. But it's so easy. It is so easy to like have your relationship with God be defined by your circumstances, right? Like when everything's going good, you're like, yeah, God is good. But as soon as it gets hard, you're like, bro, God, do you even care about me? And I'm guilty of that 100%, right? And it's something that we all go through. I mean, now, like I said, yeah, falling into sin, your response is you could allow it to bother you, or you could be like, you know what, God, I'm tired. I'm not going to let my sin define me. I'm going to let you define me. And you're going to keep going. You're going to get back up and keep going. Because if you stay down, you can't just stay down. You have to keep getting back up, right? It says in Proverbs, like the godly fall 7 times, but they're going to get back up, right? And you know what I'm saying? Like, you may be thinking, well, that's cool, but what does obedience even mean to God? What, like he says obey, and I'm like, and you're like, what is that supposed to mean? Be more specific, right? And I've been struggling with this, right? And you have to remember that, obedience comes before clarity, right? It does. I'm going a little off topic here, but when it comes to obedience, right? Obedience, you cannot force this to happen. You won't hear like from heaven, yo, Jimmy John, I need you to go to Waffle House, do 2 backflips, and then bench 265 with one arm, and then you're gonna see this guy out on Trader Joe's. He's gonna try to shoot up the Waffle House, and then you're going to get superhuman strength, and you're gonna stop him, and then everyone's gonna believe in God. Like that's not gonna happen. This is so relatable, guys. Yeah, I deal with this every night. I need to stop, bro. But you know what I'm trying to say is like, yeah, God's not gonna give you specific instructions, or not in the sense like He's not gonna just tell you like, all right, I need you to go to Waffle House and do this. Now maybe He does, right? But I'm like, what I'm trying to say is that faith, right? You need to trust Him. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not like, He might actually tell you to do that, right? You might feel that pull inside your heart to like do something, right? And that is, you'll know it's from God, right? And but what I'm trying to get at here is faith. That's what it really is. Because if God just told you outright what He wanted you to do, that takes the faith out of it. And that faith is the most important part, right? You can't please God if you have no faith. And that's what I'm trying to get at there. So when you fall into sin, you could stay down, you could beat yourself up, or you can get back up and you can say, you know what? My sin doesn't define who I am. What you did on the cross does, and I'm a child of God because of that. And when you change that mindset from focusing on how far you've fallen to how good God's been to you and how His grace is enough for you, then like you could like do the most horrific thing ever, and instead of beating yourself up over it, instead of being filled with shame and guilt, you could be like, you know what, God, your grace is enough, and I'm going to continue to trust. I'm going to continue to follow you even when it doesn't make sense at all, even when everyone else seems to go in the opposite direction, even when everyone else doesn't seem to care or seem to understand how heavy my heart feels, right? Like no one understands how heavy my heart is, right? And I want you to know that there's people that understand what that's like, right? Like yes, like you know what I'm saying? I struggle with lust every day. It doesn't matter what I do, it never goes away, right? And I could choose to just beat myself up over it, or I could be like, you know what, God, you're bigger than my problems, and I'm gonna trust that you're gonna take me to the finish line, even when I feel like I can't do this, right? I feel like unqualified, right? I have a lot of flaws, and I could choose to just sit there, or I could just get back up and keep following Him, right? And remember, you can't do this at all. This was never this journey with God. It never was about you. It was about Him, and you have to realize that there's nothing He can't do. And you know, there's a reason why He's God, bro. He's God, bro. Like, we cannot be serious. Like, He's God. There's nothing He can't do, and that's the crazy part. That really is the crazy part. And you have to rely on Him for everything. Like like once you start doing that, like you'll realize that yeah, he will take you there. You just have to trust Him, right? Like we trust, like we know, like you're on the school bus, right? You're gonna trust the guy driving it or the girl, whatever. You're gonna trust that person driving the school bus regardless, right? You never think about it. You have to, yeah, same way with God. You know what I'm saying? You have to trust Him with the destination, regardless of how it seems, right? Like, yes, the road's going to be bumpy. Yes, like, yes, you might have got brake checked, right? But regardless, you're still going to get to school, right? And regardless, God's still going to fulfill His plan regardless. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens on the road, right? The plans, He's still going to make it to school, right? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, right? You got to trust God with everything. You have to just... Now, yeah, it's a painful process. It really is. And He will probably call you to give up something or everything. Actually, He'll call you to give up everything. And it's a hard process, right? Maybe you have to give up something, like, you know, like anything above God is a problem, okay? Anything above God's a problem. And walking with God, there's going to be times where it's boring, right? Like actually trying to follow God. There's going to be times where it's boring. And there'll be times where it's lonely. And there's going to be times that you feel like this is stupid and I should just go back to doing with what everyone else is doing. But like you have to realize that if you think that, then you're definitely doing something right? Now I think in a different podcast we're going to talk about some false gospels. I don't know if we already did that or not, but we're going to do that in maybe next podcast. I don't know, but we're definitely doing that. So yeah, guys, thanks for listening to this podcast. I'm honestly, I think the podcast going pretty good so far. We're going to see what happens, and thanks for listening, guys. Hopefully you guys have a good day, bruh. Peace out.